Number one, she hates Christianity. Number two, she hates country music. How the hell can you elect a person like that? Let's make it a sweeping victory. The whole world is watching Tennessee right now, and they're watching your district. The whole world. It's a big vote. It's going to show something, and it's got to show that the Republican Party is stronger than it's ever been.
We've now had that voice just spewing nonsense for, I don't know, a decade and a half. We've lost track. And this is resonating with people, apparently. I don't know about the world, but the country was certainly watching what happened in Tennessee last night. And there you see the results, okay? Although the Republicans did narrowly squeak out a win in what should have been a landslide. See the silver lining there, folks. Their slim margin is yet another data point suggesting that the 2026 midterms will be a disaster for the GOP. That'll make you smile. You can see in this graphic here, we'll put it up on the screen. Republicans' margin of victory was more than cut in half from this past November. So you can compare the results in the district there. I mean, this is very telling. No, the Republican didn't lose, but they barely won. So it's like glass half empty, I think you would call it. As you can see in the graph, when looking at the 5 special elections in Trump's second term, a clear trend has now emerged. That trend is a huge swing to the Democrats. Yeah, this is not looking good. I don't care what Karl Rove says. Despite this being more of a, victory for the Republicans in the mildest way, Donald Trump is pretending like it's a huge win. Here's what he posted as if, congrats to Matt Van Epps on his big congressional win in the great state of Tennessee. Radical left Democrats threw everything at him, including millions of dollars. Another great night for the Republican Party president, Donald J. Trump. Well, that's a lie. It was a night, okay? It's like somebody saying, hey, yes, did you go to that really big event? Wasn't it great? Well, I went. Maybe it didn't live up to the billing. What's your reaction to this? I was hoping that this would be more of a rubber stamp that things were turning around, but it's still, there's some telltale signs there, Yas.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of two minds with things, right? Because I don't like to get too excited about things whenever I see them. But there are certain patterns in government and in politics that are somewhat reliable. Unfortunately, one of those patterns is like, don't get too excited about things, right? A lot of times what we've been seeing, especially over the last decade with this particular brand of Republican leadership that we've gotten used to is, whatever you expect to happen, whatever should happen is not what's gonna happen, right? And it's almost to the point where that in and of itself has become very, very predictable. What we've seen in Tennessee is maybe not the outcome that we wanted, but it was still very encouraging. And again, I say that very tentatively, but we do have to look at the overall trends. And I think especially in politics, it's so easy and understandable to be impatient for change because people's lives are wildly disrupted right now in ways that they haven't been in maybe a century in this country. And that's saying something. And I think what, the impetus is for people to expect and to demand change within like the next year, the next election cycle. The truth is though, these things take a long time to transform. If you think even about the Republican Party and how it has transformed from whatever it was in the Reagan era to what it is today in the Trump era, that was decades of very slow, incremental change. And I know that word is triggering for a lot of people, including myself, but that was a very deliberate, long game that they were playing, the Republicans. So now we're trying to undo a lot of that. And I'm not saying it needs to take another 40, 50 years to undo everything that they're doing, but I'm saying we do need to celebrate these small victories because anything that points us in the direction that we're trying to go in, that is a good sign. And we need to keep up that momentum. Especially right now, like now is not the time to let your foot off the gas as far as staying informed with things, protesting whenever that is appropriate, and then voting, not just in the national elections, not just in the midterms, but even in your local elections, because all of that kind of, trickles upward to the government that we end up having. And also those local elections and there's a lot of turnover that we're looking forward to in the midterms with congressional Republicans. Those elections are going to matter. Like the people that we elect at the local level, at the state levels, that it arguably affects people's lives more directly than what we see at the federal level. Arguably, not.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. While you were talking there, I had one ear on you and then an eye on something I Googled. This is so widespread. It's not like what I Googled was how long did it take the Republican Party to rebound after Nixon resigning? It took the Republicans only 6 years to get the White House back. But remember the Republicans underneath Nixon, right, in Congress. They're the ones who helped oust him and said, this is a bridge too far. You've done too much. We're not going down with you. And they did the right thing. This is top to bottom ridiculousness, okay, with so many foot soldiers, so when they do one thing out of sync, we give them credit. And the truth is, they've been doing nothing but falling in line for this guy for their whole, some of them, their whole careers. They didn't know public office before Trump. So there's this. If things continue as they are, there may be reason to expect even more, considering that Democrats lead in the generic congressional ballot polling that has increased from 6 points in November 2018 to 14 points now. Sometimes I have to put my glasses on, and I'm sorry about the reflection. One of my friends said, I can't watch you. Please get your regular glasses, okay? Go get that prescription with the anti-glare. I'm working on it. So if the midterms were today, most say they would pick a Democrat. So yes, it's just the way it is. It's leaning in that direction. The Democrats have to not mess this thing up, but that's not going to be enough. They also have to do the right things, speak to affordability, grab a page out of Mamdani's book and others who are inspiring so many.
You know what TYT has always been about? Taking on the corrupt, greedy establishment. For us, it's the corporate media. We've been fighting that fight for over 20 years. For the cell phone industry, it's the same story. A handful of massive corporations ripping you off. That's why we're partnering with Noble Mobile. They're the only wireless company with the same mission as ours, to fight back. Their Noble plan offers unlimited data for just $50 a month. But here's the best part. For any data that you don't use, you get cash back. Real money you can spend however you want. Stop letting your unused data pad the pockets of billionaires. With Noble, you take control over your data. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT in our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan.
I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I think whenever we are looking ahead, right now we're seeing a big shift happening in Congress, right? As of today, I believe 40 Congress people, both in the House and the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, have announced that for one reason or another, they will not be seeking re-election or they're retiring, even some of them before their term is up. So we are looking forward to a lot of shakeups that are going to be happening in a lot of these districts where these politicians are not seeking re-election. You can reasonably expect that they'll be replaced by someone from that same party. I know here in Texas we have 6 congressional Republicans who are not seeking re-election, but a lot of those districts, they're expected to still go to red leaders. So there's a lot happening. This is like a big moment though. This is a big opportunity, and my fear is that if people finally decide to leave the Republican Party, then they vote for a Democrat. I don't want them to fumble it, and I don't want to be negative, but I don't want them to fumble it, right?
Yeah.
What we've seen happen several times, even within the last couple of decades, is people going from one party to the next. And I'm talking specifically about those middle of the road swing voters, right? And a lot of people are very firmly planted in whatever party they're in, but the swing voters, they go with whichever party they think is going to give them the best life, right? A lot of people who are Bernie supporters voted for Donald Trump because whatever, they didn't care what party he was from. They needed someone who was going to change the status quo. And Donald Trump seemed like that person to them once Bernie was out of the race. So I really just hope that we can get some better people into these positions. A really good example is over in San Francisco. Nancy Pelosi is no longer running finally she's decided that she's had enough of the House, and there is a very progressive candidate who is running for her seat. And I hope that more people like him and Mom Donnie can get into these influential positions across the country.
And I hope that the establishment doesn't undermine them and that they're able to succeed. Can I just tell you before we move on to the next story, just quickly, anytime I hear you, my beautiful friend, talking about living here in Texas, for some reason, what jumps into my head is we have to rescue her. We have to get her out of there. And I hate doing that, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like I want to just transplant you somewhere else, and that's not fair. It's not fair.
No, it's total. I don't know. Like Texas is like where I live, but it's never really felt like my home. I'm stuck here because my husband's job is very squarely here, so we're here for the foreseeable future. But
okay, you're fine.
I'm fine. So thank you for your.
People already really messaging. Let's get a group going down there, caravan. Let's get her out of there. She's fine. She's gonna be. She can speak up for herself. Okay.
I do appreciate it though. Thank you. That's really funny.
Yeah, that's just how it goes through my mind.